All right, 6:30 having arrived, we'll officially call the meeting to order. Has the meeting been properly posted and the roll been taken?
Yes.
All right. Item number 2 is Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, our approval of the minutes. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the July 23, 2024 council meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to approve the minutes for the July 2023-24 council meeting.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 4 under communications. We've got a visitor here this evening that would like to introduce himself. I call on Mr. John Henderson to state his name and address for the record and introduce himself to us.
My name is John Henderson. I live at W4723 Pine Court in Elkhorn, a lifelong resident, and I'm here to let you know that I'm running as a candidate for Assembly District 31. And I'm not going to do more than that. I wanted to let you know that. I've got information I'll leave, and you can each have one to take home. And I do, my email's on there if you have concerns that I should be aware of for the city of Delavan at a state level. I'd certainly like to hear from you. And if you, I think I don't need to say more. I just want to make sure you know I'm running. It's a pleasure, and I look forward to serving this whole district. The other thing I did want to mention is, as you probably know, we were redistricted this year, and on the back of the flyer, there's a map of the district so you can actually see what's involved. It's a little different, but thank you so much.
Thanks, John. With that, we'll move on to item number 5, which are public comments. Citizens who wish to address the chair at this point in the meeting, I would just ask that you limit your comments to items that are on the agenda, once for no more than 3 minutes. Are there anyone that wishes to make public comments at this time?
Yes.
Yes. Again, I would just have you come up and state your name.
Yes, sir.
And address for the record.
Very good. My name is Jay Rasmussen. I'm a resident at Creekside Condominiums, 227 Creekside Place. And I just want to make you aware, if you were not already, that several of our residents have signed a petition to table the matter of our road until we have an opportunity as a community to meet and discuss what those implications might be. That's all I had. Any questions for me? Thank you very much.
With that, anyone else wish to make public comments at this time? If not, we'll move on to item number 6 under reports of committees, boards, and commissions. 6.1 is the Finance Committee and the financial report. Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee met today just prior to this meeting. A number of items from the meeting are on tonight's agenda. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 10th at 5 p.m. And then we'll also meet for our budget meetings in September on currently planned for September 18th, 19th, 25th, and 26th. And with that, I move to approve the financial report.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 6.2, issues before the General Operations Committee. Alderman Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. General Operations met on Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. Several items will appear in the business section of tonight's meeting. Saturday, September 14th, in Delavan will be the place to be. We have 2 major events happening at the same time. Scarecrow Fest, we'll have live music and a car show downtown. Fiesta Mexicana, we'll have a similar entertainment at St. Andrews. I'd like to thank the St. Andrews Parade Committee and our staff for working out the details of the Mexican parade. This parade will now start at Sugar Creek Road and travel west down Racine Street to the St. Andrews Church. Hoping both fundraising events will be successful. The next general operations committee meeting will be Tuesday, September 3rd at 5:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Wilson. Item 6.3, issues that came before the planning commission, Alderman Beasley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The planning commission met August 5th. There's a number of items for that meeting on the agenda tonight. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 3rd at 5 p.m. As always, the minutes are on file with the city clerk for public inspection.
Thank you, Alderman Beasley. Item 6.4, public works, Alderman Beasley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Works met on July 23rd. The next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, August 27th at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, Alderman Beasley. Item 6.5, Town of Delavan Lake Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Town of Delavan Lake Committee met on August 7th. The next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, September 4th at 6 p.m. at the Town Board.
Thank you, Alderman Beasley. Item 6.6, the Library Board of Trustees, Alderwoman Sen.
Thank you, Mayor. The Library Board of Trustees met August 15th. Our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 19th at 5:30.
Thank you, Alderwoman Sen. Item 6.7, Parks and Recreation Commission, Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Parks and Recreation Commission met on July 22nd. We discussed the budget and capital requests, including the Phoenix Park Plan, our plan to hire a consultant to develop the park plan for Yaden Park, and then the Arboretum. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, August 26th at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia. Item 6.8, Communications Commission. This committee has not met since the last council meeting, and there's not a meeting date that's scheduled at this time. We're still working internally on the makeup of and the future of that committee. So stay tuned for more details on that. Item 6.9, Delavan Downtown Project Management Team, Alderman Beasley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Delavan Downtown Project Management Team has not met since the last council meeting. No meeting date has been scheduled at this time.
Thank you, Alderman Beasley. Item 6.10, Delbrook Golf Commission, Alderman Square.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Delbrook Golf Committee met on August 5th. I was not in attendance because I was under the weather. Next meeting needs to be rescheduled due to the Labor Day holiday. And I guess we'll go from there.
Thank you, Alderman Square. Item 6.11, Tourism Commission, Alderwoman Sen.
Thank you, Mayor. The Tourism Commission met August 12th. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 11th at 5 p.m.
Thank you, Alderwoman Sen. Item 7, issues that came before the Planning Commission. 7.1 is review, consider a request for a conditional use permit to allow for a group development containing an airport / heliports, indoor sales or service, indoor maintenance service, and an in-vehicle sales or service land uses in the airplane hangar buildings at 2375 East Geneva Street in the manufacturing light ML zoning district. Applicant Advanced Power Plant Solutions, LLC.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the proposed resolution granting the conditional use request for a group development containing airport heliports, indoor sales or service, indoor maintenance service, and in-vehicle sales or service land uses at 2375 East Geneva Street in the manufacturing light ML zoning district, subject to the findings and conditions of approval as listed in the agenda report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 7.2 is consider a planned infill development amendment to the official zoning map for step 3, general development plan GDP at 207 through 433 South Wright Street, tax parcel XA 4527-2, located in the Business Regional BR zoning district with a wellhead protection overlay to allow for an expanded indoor storage land use. Applicant Star Delavan LLC.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to take no action on the requested zoning change.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I want to allow for additional discussion.
If I could have a minute just to talk with the council. My name's Dale Thorpe. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. We have an April application for an expansion of the indoor storage, self-storage use. and including 2 proposed outlot areas to be used for expanded retail, new retail space on the site. In addition, we've met with staff on a couple of occasions now and worked out a lengthy list of conditions, some conditions to take place before any additional use was authorized, 18 additional conditions that we've negotiated and worked with staff to agree to, if you agree tonight, to allow the project to go forward, to improve the property and try to get it in the best shape possible. So this is intended to be a use that primarily serves the local community. The vast majority of the users of this site are Delavan residents. These are not out-of-town people. The building is essentially full at this point. There is a need among local residents for some additional indoor storage. We're looking for an opportunity to do that. Part of the building that we're using here for indoor storage would be the rear of the former Slumberland store. The front half has been leased, as you know. That tenant was not willing to take the entire building. The building was 1/4 of an acre inside. It's a huge retail space. The back portion of the building sits unused at this point and is unrentable on an easy basis. Using it for indoor storage in an out-of-the-way location is, from my client's point of view, is the best way to serve the need that they see before them at this point. I'm available if there are any questions. We worked hard to try to get the application to this point. It's something that we think addresses the staff concerns that we've heard. I've not heard any planning concerns expressed by staff. In fact, they've stated the opposite. In their July 1 memo from your planner, she indicated that this did comply with your comprehensive plan.
Any questions for?
How close to Wright Street where the outbuilding it's gonna be?
Well, we don't know that yet. We would, if approved, we would then go out and market those spaces to prospective tenants. Those tenants, this is not the only time you would see it. They'd have to come back to you, locate the buildings to your satisfaction, landscape the buildings, decorate the buildings, light the buildings to your satisfaction. They're meant to be modern, new buildings. But those are decisions yet to be made in negotiation and working with the city of Delavan. That they're meant to be new spaces. They're meant to be upgraded spaces, to be an asset to the community, to do something valuable for this property. And then the older part of the building in the back would also be updated. If among the conditions, you'll see landscaping to go on the planting islands all up and down the front of the building. The sconce lights, those building lights that go on there are to be updated also. These are your planner's suggestions, and we've agreed to all of that.
You're talking about this red space here behind where the
Liquor store.
yeah, the liquor store will be. What about these 2 storefronts that are also
That's
in red?
right. That's in the application too, that those would be, one of them is under a short-term lease right now, but in the long term, the plan is to use those for indoor storage also. If it's a point of concern, that we call those units 307 and 317 for identification purposes. So there is some flexibility possible on that. There's flexibility possible on this entire application. The priority is twofold. The priority is to do something with the back of the Slumberland store, to do something with it. The other priority is to get a blessing from the city council to put up new retail buildings on those 2 outlet locations. Even those outlet locations are somewhat flexible, but we want to see some sort of indication that we can go forward with trying to rent those buildings and put up new buildings on those sites.
I would just hate to see good store frontage used for storage. The back of the Slumberland doesn't bother me. You have a hard time renting that, but those other 2 that we do have people in there for a year, right? I think somebody.
A year or
they
3,
they
something.
signed leases.
3 years.
If it made it, my client intends to be the owner and improver of this building on a long-term basis. They're here to stay. They want to do a good job and they want to satisfy the city. If it helps move this forward, they would be willing to reduce the application to take 307 and 317, those 2 storefronts out, and commit to continuing to market them for retail, try to get retail tenants in there as best they can, and just limit the expanded outdoor storage to just the rear of the Slumberland store only.
Indoor storage, that expanded.
Indoor storage, right, yeah. The application we made in April also made another commitment, and that was to include in any approvals that you give a statement that there'll be no further expansion, and we would agree to that. We put that in writing, we made it part of the application. This is the last time you're gonna hear about indoor self-storage. What you're gonna hear about in the future, if we're successful here tonight with the council, is some new retail tenants we hope to bring forward soon. If we can start to market those outlet locations.
And because I'm newer to council, I'm only on my second year, did the original plan include adding on to where that back of that building, and you've taken that away? You're not going to expand
No,
to the back of it? They do not want to expand anymore to the
well,
back.
they do, but they didn't want to do it in small expansion increments. It's cost effective to expand once, to improve all the spaces, and then not have to bring contractors on and off the site continually. But the application, as we've submitted, includes phases 2 and 3 from the 2020 application are still in there, maybe slightly reduced on the back part of the building. And the back of the Slumberland store, if that reduced area of expansion is acceptable to the council. And again, that would be, and we would agree to have this put right in the ordinance, that this would be the last time you would hear about self-storage on this property. We'd be done at that point. I don't need to tell you, I'm sure you're aware, retail is tough. There are Amazon trucks in town right now as we speak. Retail is tough, but they're committed to trying to make retail work. It will help them if they can put up those 2 brand new attractive buildings outside. It makes the back of the property have a little more traffic. It makes the whole operation more successful. And they'll commit to 307 and 317 staying retail, those smaller storefronts.
I'd say looking at this currently, my biggest concern is those 2 storefronts and then also the location of the outlet buildings. I don't necessarily think that I think having them along Wright Street would make more sense when I'm looking at this. Having that lot 2 location is the one that kind of doesn't make sense to me here.
You know, I think I heard a version of that concern expressed by staff. It didn't make it into the memo. If we, I don't know that there's any particular magic to having one of the buildings on Hobbs and one on Wright Street. I think it's the 2 buildings is the #1 priority. If we amended the application to put the 2 buildings, the 2 spaces identical to this on Wright Street only, would that make this a more attractive, more successful application from the city's point of view? Certainly something that's possible. This property has an overload of parking. It was built for another time, and that parking isn't being used most of the time.
I would like to see the 2 buildings next to O'Reilly, up there on Wright Street.
On Wright Street?
Yes.
Okay. If we made that change, I would need Mark or Steve to tell me whether that would require an amended application or can it be approved on that basis?
I would think we would use an amended application so that the council knows what they're approving.
I think go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, I didn't want to step on it.
No, just go ahead.
So this came before planning commission, and I'm a huge proponent of development, and I do think that the lots are appropriate. This failed during planning commission, and I think there was only 1 person in favor of it. And one of the main reasons why it failed was because of the storage being put in there. At least that was my understanding. I could be wrong about that. I don't know the nature of how the other commission members voted or what they were thinking at the time or what resonated with them, so I can't speak to that. But initially, there was an agreement to do development, which didn't take place. And now there's an extension in here for an additional 5 years. If development happens, which we have not seen any plans come before planning commission, it's just here's an idea for lots. This is part of the reason why it also failed. Planning commission likes to see comprehensive ideas. They want to see something that they can look at and then they can make a decision. This is one of those situations where there's a lot of open ends to it and not a lot of aspects where council can say, oh, well, if we would have only known, So that's my major concern with this. It's not complete.
Yep, I understand. You expressed the same thing at Plan Commission, and we understand. We're willing to try to relocate those new buildings. The new buildings are critical to this property. I can't say this enough. Putting up new buildings up front as the face of this property, facing the street, is critical to the success of the building behind. It just is. And putting in the new landscaping that staff has lobbied for on your behalf and asked for is also valuable. Right now, half the islands facing the storage unit spaces are improved. Improving the rest of it just lifts the entire property. It's not a small thing, it's a big request, and it's an expensive request, they want to do it. So retail's tough, but these are steps that they think they can implement that will make this property a success. But it's not happening quickly, retail's not happening quickly, but they're trying to make it work. I'd like an opportunity, if you agreed, to amend the application and come back and talk to you and see if we can get this done.
So my motion was to take no action on that. That would absolutely give you the opportunity to come back with something comprehensive, bring it back through the process and anything else like that.
Okay.
Like I said, this isn't, we want success for our business owners, we want success for our community. We want to make sure that we have a pathway that protects both.
I have a clarification question. There is currently approval to build one outlot building, yes or no?
That is still in place.
Okay, I guess my concern too with adding a second outlot building is if we're continuing to keep all of those other buildings there retail, that limits the parking for all of those businesses as well. So another concern when I look at this.
Parking? And we had there's over 600 parking spots, I think if I counted, there's a lot. And I've talked with your planner about this, she asked for a count, and the comments I've heard, and she's not here, but the comments I've heard, maybe Mark can confirm this, is that this property has 2 or 3 times as much parking as it needs for the uses that are taking place. We share your concern about parking.
Yeah.
It's part of being a success, but we think this property has a tremendous amount of completely unused striped parking that we'd like to put to a higher and better use.
So in front of lot 3, as it's currently drawn, there's 8, in each one of these rows, there's only 8 parking spots and then 2 handicap parking spots. Is this drawn to scale?
I
with the
believe so,
parking?
yes. We would make sure that we not only comply with your parking ordinance, we exceed the requirements of your parking ordinance. And I can quantify that in the amended application to explain exactly what you call for and what we're offering. And what you're gonna see is that there are dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of extra parking stalls. Frankly, there's room for more retail up front by Wright Street, and I don't want to speak for my client on that. They have not told me this, but it seems logical.
Just to add to the parking component, these are built in terms of lots. The lots could have parking built into that plan.
Yeah, and that would be our goal. Although this property will always be served by cross parking easements, like Walmart and Kohl's. The cross easements allow occupants for any of these buildings to use any available space, but as a total, it has to meet your parking ordinance, and it will ×2. Thank you for a chance to explain this tonight. It's a difficult application. It's been floating around for 1.5 years. And
Thank you for explaining this. Some of us
anxious
are
to-
new and it's a lot to read through.
Yeah, and I mean, for
and
what it's,
understand.
yeah, for what it's worth, I think, like Alderman Beazer had pointed out that one person had voted in essence in favor of what they were doing, that one person being myself. And I've come a long way and involved on this, and I think it's important, because some of you are, as you said, hearing this for the first time. I'm pretty safe in saying that I sat through more meetings on this topic than probably most, other than staff. They've been there right along, and I think it's fair to say, if you watch the tapes of the proceedings, there's been no one that was more critical of ensuring that this real estate property continue to have more retail in it, and not go full-fledged storage, which is what, if you really go back in time, that was what was being proposed here. And so I think it's been evolving. I think the owner of the property is finally seeing that, yes, indeed, the city of Delavan, even though retail is tough, we all acknowledge that people are locating here to Delavan at a higher rate than they had in recent years. And a lot of that is retail, a lot of that is service type businesses. And so if anything, we're filling up more empty spaces that once were empty with some sort of retail or service, what I call service oriented type businesses. And so I've wanted to hold the property owner and everyone accountable to say, hey, market it. Let's try to keep the retail space, certainly keep the curb appeal, the window fronts. It took a lot to get the developer to see that vision. And I think for me, even when we had some discrepancies on what the storage looked like, I thought it was important to allow for the two lots, redevelopment, again, attracting potential businesses, jobs, service types of oriented type businesses that will draw people here. Not only to live, raise a family, but at least visit on a daily basis, and do other things while they're here. I think one of the things, I think we actually probably would have had a positive recommendation for approval, my gut feeling, at planning commission, because what you talked about, giving up the other storage space in those red squares, I think was enough to maybe get some other members of the planning commission besides just myself to a comfort level that where we were. I think the deciding factor was, as Alderman Beazer also pointed out, that there were some approvals for development on the back end and some other thing, and one lot, and that didn't occur. Well, I would say if we didn't approve things that were ultimately always proposed to us, there'd be a lot of other things that we ultimately approved because economics change, because of what have you. There's a lot of things that can ultimately change. So I think to just say we're not going to approve this, even though it clearly betters this piece of property. I mean, it has driven me nuts. I've said this time and time again, but a lot of you haven't heard this at this level, is that we got a wide open parking lot that looks horrible. When you get a lot of rain, which we've had more rain this year, that water runoff is going directly across that parking lot with nothing stopping it, with nothing to make it look more beautiful. We got people racing across it, trying to get to different places over the years. I think this is a real opportunity again to better the look of what it looks like landscape again, to build up the tax base by allowing some redevelopment. And I think we can get there. I know what the motion, and everyone's probably clear on it, is to take no action this evening. But I think to come back with those two outlots, similar to what you see at the Walmart property. You got the outlots up front, closer to the frontage roads and the main grade, with Walmart and Kohl's behind. I envision that this could be very similar in a lot of ways.
Well, and a little different than the Walmart, these outlots are actually gonna be the main draw. I would argue that with the Walmart in the back is the anchor and everybody else benefits. In this case, putting up some new buildings up front might actually benefit the properties in the rear. One other thing I probably should have touched on is that staff has had a list of conditions they want us to talk about. They're all listed in the lengthy memo from your planner. Among those are cleaning up some loose ends. Mark can probably describe this better than I can. There's some old deed restrictions, I'm probably going to describe this incorrectly, that are hanging out there that don't make any sense anymore, that we've agreed to work with Mark to clean up. There's a fence behind the property that's actually on city property that has to be upgraded. There's some drainage that takes place from the back of the property to the pond that has to be managed better. There's a dumpster that's going to be enclosed in the back, and a long list. It's almost a 2-page list of conditions that we've talked to, your staff has pushed for, that every one of which required a conversation with my client, but we've agreed to. We see the benefit of it. So we're committed to being a part of the community and making this work and being a success. Like, as I said before, my client is here to stay. They want to work this property and make sure it's the best, in the best shape it could possibly be.
Thanks, Dan. Any other questions for you?
So the motion allows me to come back with an amended, I'll call it a trimmed down application, to address some of the issues we talked about today.
I mean, we can clarify it with our attorney.
Yeah, I'd like to clarify that, just so, can we clarify that?
Yeah, well, the motion is to take no action. I would ask you to rescind that and to table it to next month to come back with the amended.
Would it be better to refer it back to planning commission?
Well, I think it would have to go back to the planning commission. Yeah, if it's an amended application bringing in new property, that's another hearing, I think. But I'll do it however you want, Steve.
I would take it to the planning commission.
All right, Mr. Mayor. Do we need to remove the second?
Yes, I'm
Yep.
good with that as well.
All right. So if you're good with that, then I'll rescind the motion and I'll make a motion to table this until planning commission has had a chance to review a new process and refer this back to planning commission for further development.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Everyone's clear on the motion? Hearing and seeing that there's no more discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Moving on then to item 7.3 is consider a single lot land redivision request by certified surveying map CSM to combine the two parcels of 506 South Sixth Street.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed single lot land redivision request by certified survey map CSM to combine the two tax parcels of 506 South Sixth Street as prepared by Douglas Olson dated June 28, 2024.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 7.4 is consider transfer of city-owned property along Wright Street for right-of-way purposes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing transfer of the required city-owned property needed for right-of-way of the upcoming Wisconsin DOT Wright Street reconstruction project.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 8, issues that came before the finance committee. 8.1 is consider a preliminary special assessment resolution for repaving of the Creekside condominium private roadway. We're gonna hold this one over. Everyone did get the communication prior to the meeting. So thank you, and thank you for your comments under public comments earlier, so we will hold that over. No decision this evening. 8.2 is consider approval to replace the police department K9.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the police department to contract with Double Dutch Acres, Robert Wyranka, to purchase replacement K9 for the cost of no more than $8,500 to be paid for from the unused wages of vacant patrol position, account 100-52100-1000, but posted in miscellaneous capital, not in capital, account 100-52100-8000.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Square,
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia,
Yes.
Alderwoman Senth,
Yes.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Beazer,
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.3 is consider police department request to purchase 2 Ford police interceptors.
Move to authorize the police department to move forward with the delivery of 2 Ford Police Interceptors from Ewald Automotive Group at a cost of $92,372, and further move to approve the resolution declaring 3 older squads surplus property.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just a quick question. I know that there's a significant cost for upgrading police vehicles. When these vehicles are sold off to other, I'm assuming municipalities who might be in need, is that at an increased cost?
Would you answer that one?
Clarify the question, you're asking about the equipment inside the
The
squad.
surplus.
we take what we can use out of the squad and we switch that over and we do upgrade some of the equipment inside. If there's a model change and it's a complete swap, so
Okay,
makes sense.
yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing here none, maybe we have a roll call.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sen.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.4 is consider authorizing squad switchover for 2 Ford Interceptors for 2024.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the police department to move forward with the switchover of 2 Ford Police Interceptors with General Fire Equipment Company at a cost of $29,812.22.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Sen.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.5 is consider a recommendation to the common council to move forward with a proposal from Architecture and Strand to develop a park plan, grading plan, post staking for the inclusive playground and general restroom plan for Yaden Park.
I move to approve the proposal for Yaden Park Master Planning, Playground Grading, and Staking Plan from Architecture Strand for an amount not to exceed $49,580.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sen.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.6 is consider fire chief request for regarding the ladder truck.
I move to approve the, I'm trying to figure this out earlier, the fire department's request to change from the, let's see here, KME to the Ferrara ladder truck. At the same, like the cost that has unchanged, or an unchanged cost.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yes.
So I reviewed this and the Ferrara is in fact a more superior vehicle. However, this process was supposed to be ongoing. These trucks are supposed to be built. Is this a pre-built truck? Is this something that has to be built from this point forward? Is that something that, I missed that in finance if it was.
Sure. Tim O'Neill, Fire Chief. It is not a pre-built truck. Upon your authorization, it's the same, of course, vendor and the same plant that part of it is being built. So they will start from the ground up, but because of a tooling issue, I understand, by the manufacturer and a labor shortage in that particular plant, they're going to build part of it in a different plant from the same Rev Group manufacturing. So with your authorization, it would start immediately, but it is not an in-stock.
Is this something where the previous truck that we authorized has been started?
No,
So that hasn't been started?
correct, it has not.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Quick question.
Yes.
Walk down that ladder? Like
Yes.
you could on the other one. The other ladder was special, was you could just walk down it or something.
As well.
They're
It's-
identical, almost?
It's longer.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
longer, I saw that, but.
It has succeeded in some upgrades in the 3 years we've waited for it. So by every aspect, we've taken advantage of the technology that's increased in 3 years. And it's every bit as usable and fashionable at the same price as the present one. And all the features are comparable for sure.
Okay, I kind of know that was the selling point of that.
It was. And this one will be the same design as that. Matter of fact, this manufacturer's been in business for over 40 years.
Thank you for the additional feedback. And yeah, as you pointed out, this was originally approved in 2021, so there has been a slight delay on this, as you pointed out, with the labor and supply chain.
Pleased to report that the price remains the same and the features have been evaluated and increased.
Great. Any other discussion?
Are we good on my motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
There's been a motion and a second, and we have a roll call.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa. Yes. Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.7 is consider awarding the 2024 concrete sidewalk repairs contract to Beardsley Concrete out of Racine, Wisconsin for an amount not to exceed $33,551.53.
Mr. Mayor, I move to award the citywide public sidewalk repair contract for an amount not to exceed $33,551.53 to the low bid from Beardsley Concrete of Racine, Wisconsin.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Barbosa. Yes. Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.8 is consider amendment to the engineering agreement with Ayers and Associates for the reconstruction of the Lake Holmes Dam and North Terrace Street Bridge in the amount of $58,000.
I move to approve the engineering agreement and amendment with Ayers Associates to increase the total fee by an amount not to exceed $58,000 due to the added pile driving needed for the Lake Holmes Dam reconstruction.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa. Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.9, consider change orders number 1, number 2, 3, and 4 to the North Terrace Street Bridge and Lake Holmes Dam reconstruction contract with Lunda Construction Company at a total additional cost of $178,596.22.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve change orders number 1 through 4 at a combined amount not to exceed $178,596.22 for the North Terrace Street Bridge, Lake Comus Dam reconstruction contract with Lunda Construction Company.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd just like to bring everyone's attention, this is a safety concern and something that we've identified as engineering requirement. And part of that process was because of the people doing the installation, so I just like to point that out. Sometimes quality gets you quality and you get results without problems, so this is what we're looking at. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Not, we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa. Yes. Alderman Square.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.10 is consider raising bids received for the condemned 3-car garage at 204 South 4th Street.
We've been moved to.
Yeah.
Would you like an official rejection of the bid? please?
I move to reject these bids.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
That's a beautiful 3-car garage. I hate to tear it down for no reason.
Oh, were you listening to that?
I was.
Matt, did you?
Just a little clarification for everyone else in the audience. This is because there's a building permit in place and the need to tear down a standalone garage may not be needed. So we're giving the owner an opportunity to conduct business as well.
Alright, we've got a motion and a second. May we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa. Yes. Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.11, consider raising bids received for the city-owned storage building at 919 Ann Street.
Mr. Mayor, I move to award a contract to Richie Rich Trucking Incorporated of Delavan for the raising of the city-owned storage building at 919 Ann Street at a cost of $7,250.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa. Yes. Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.12, consider raising bids received for the city-owned house and garage at 121 South 4th Street.
I move to award a contract to Rezar Demolition LLC of Crystal Lake, Illinois for the raising of the duplex house and detached garage at 121 South 4th Street at a cost of $22,000.
There's a motion, is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa. Yes. Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.13, consider application for grant, facade grant for 801 East Wisconsin Street.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve a facade improvement grant in an amount not to exceed $25,000 for Roxana Huerta for improvements to the facade of 801 East Wisconsin Street, provided that the plans comply with all city ordinances and design standards.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Barbosa. Yes. Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.14, consider application for a facade grant for 237 East Walworth Avenue.
I move to approve the facade improvement grant in an amount not to exceed $5,220 for Donald Coolidge Properties LLC to cover improvements to the facade of 237 East Walworth Avenue, provided that the plans comply with all city ordinances and design standards.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.15, consider application for facade grant for 239 East Walworth Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve a facade improvement grant in an amount not to exceed $6,775 for Donald Coolidge Properties LLC to cover improvements to the facade of 239 East Walworth Avenue, provided that the plans comply with all city ordinances and design standards.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa. Yes. Alderman Square.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.16, consider application for facade grant for 714 East Geneva Street.
I move to approve a facade improvement grant in the amount not to exceed $25,000 for Bespoke Properties LLC for improvements to the facade of 714 East Geneva Street, provided that the plans comply with all city ordinances and design standards.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to point out, if this is approved by council, we have $29,600 left for the facade grants that needs to be committed by the end of 2024.
Just a
Thank you for that.
quick question on that. How many businesses have received the facade grant?
Roughly, what was it?
Roughly about 8,
This is our first year doing this, correct?
well, second year. We only had about 2 last year. And a couple of ones that are finishing this year were awarded last year.
So this is pretty fantastic. I think that this program is successful in revitalizing our businesses, giving them an opportunity to succeed. Thank you.
Absolutely.
12.
12 overall, and I'm aware of 2 more people that will be turning in, or at least attempting to reach out to gather more information on this. So, yeah, to your point, this has been a very successful program. It's helped revitalize our downtown and other parts of our city as to some of these that are on the agenda that's outside of our city of Delavan in the downtown. So it's been great that as more and more people have been hearing about the program and there's been approval. So as I'm glad you pointed out, there's still some additional funding, the 29,000. And I talked with our finance director. There may be some additional funding based on interest. So it was 29,000 because that's what I asked at finance committee, but then there's also, so hopefully if there's people that are thinking about this and want to still consider a great opportunity, they're gonna get their grant in, their grant application in. So with that, there's a motion and a second. May we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Seth.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa. Yes. Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.17, consider write-off of account receivables debt.
Mr. Mayor, I move to remove any past due amounts older than 4 years, the fire department billing to city residents, and the James Davison invoice error totaling $41,806.15, along with any small balances and penalties under $100.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sapp.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.18, consider purchase of pole-mounted holiday decoration replacements.
I move to authorize purchasing a mixture of 36 traditional style decorations at an average price of about $800 each per the list, or per the attached listing, for a total amount not to exceed $30,000.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sapp.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.19, approval of bills.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve warrant 2024-07.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by stating that.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 9, issues that came before the General Operations Committee. 9.1 is consider a Class B liquor license for Reds Entertainment Incorporated doing business as Reds on 7th at 214 South 7th Street.
Okay, here, I move to approve Class B liquor license for Red Entertainment Incorporated at 214 South 7th Street. Rebecca Everson, agent, contingent upon Mr. Clevin relinquishing the current license for New Horizons.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 9.2 is consider approval of the temporary Class B fermented malt beverage license for St. Andrew's Congregation for Fiesta Mexicana.
I move to approve a temporary temporary beer license for St. Andrew's Congregation for the Fiesta Mexicana to be held in a beer tent at 714 East Walworth Avenue on September 14, 2024.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 9.3 is consider changes to municipal code chapter 7-16, mobile food establishments, and authorize a request to amend the zoning code to address mobile food establishments on private properties.
I move to approve the proposed ordinance amending municipal code sections 7-16-7 and 7-16-8 to separate the regulations of food trucks and public right of way from the zoning regulations that would control the use of food trucks on private property.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So this allows for a zoning permit. Is that a permanent permit? Is that a temporary permit? Is that something that staff issues? Does that come before? How does that process work?
The zoning side of this still needs to go to the plan commission and ultimately come back to the council for changes to the zoning code. It would potentially be set up for mobile food establishments if they have an existing, that's going to be the question, if they have an existing building in town, brick and mortar, but it would be on a temporary permit, so it basically lasts for 6 months at a time.
So this would be a temporary thing. Hopefully there will be a pathway for it to be streamlined.
It would be similar to like when Walmart does their outdoor garden center. It's the same process. It comes through staff.
These special use.
Right, thank you.
I think this is a good idea.
All right, any other discussion? Otherwise, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 9.4 is consider amendment to allow for short-term road or sidewalk closures relating to block parties and or building repairs.
I'll move to approve an amendment to the city fee structure resolution to allow a sidewalk obstruction with proof of insurance or a block party, both at a 0 fee.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 10, under other business, 10.1 is consider amendment number 1 to the Harbor Club at Lake Lawn Development Agreement. Motion. Nick, you want to explain it?
So we have Rick Zirk here in attendance. He's representing the Harbor Club Development. We took suggestions from you guys in the last closed session. Steve drafted up the amendment. It has also been reviewed by the developer themselves, and everybody seems to be in agreement with what is presented.
Thanks, Nick.
If there's any questions?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to add any more, Rick.
I think we're
Okay. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement as proposed.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 10.2 is consider a 23 lot land division request of a final plat for the replat of Harbor Club at Lake Lawn Phase 3.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve a final plat for a 23 lot, single family residential subdivision as prepared by John Konopaki. Sorry if I got that wrong. Labeled as the replat of Harbor Club at Lake Lawn Phase 3, identified as job order number 1257.00 with the date of January 24th, 2024.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Okay.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 10.3 is consider sale of city-owned property at the northwest corner of East Wisconsin Street and North Harrison Street to Habitat for Humanity of Walworth County.
I move to approve the sale of city-owned property at the northwest corner of East Wisconsin Street and North Harrison Street to Habitat for Humanity of Walworth County, and to authorize the mayor to sign the documents required for said sale.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 10.4 is consider approval of a resolution declaring appliances and wooden deck at 121 South Fourth Street as surplus property.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the surplus property resolution for the appliances and wooden deck from the house at 121 South Fourth Street.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 11, public comments. Again, citizens may address the chair at this point of the meeting. I just ask that you limit your comments to no more than 2 minutes. Do we have any public comments at this time? With that, we'll move on to item number 12, suggested future agenda items. Do we have any future agenda items at this time? If not, and if there are in the future, just let myself and our city administrator and our city clerk know, and we're happy to add that to the council agenda. With that, we'll move on to item number 13, recess to closed session. 13.1 is pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85.1 deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session regarding Spring Grove Cemetery agreement. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Mr. Mayor, I move to recess to a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 parent 1 parent E.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sen.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Weezer.
Yes.
Motion passes. Take a brief recess.
But we're not quite done.